Casey, guess what?
What?
We're doing episode 8 of Millennial Monologue right now.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
right?
Oh my God.
8. 8 episodes. It's amazing. You want to know what else?
What?
Cue theme music. Ugh,
Whew.
Casey, it's been a Thursday for sure.
It sure as hell has, my friend.
I would just like to be the first to welcome everyone to episode 8 of Millennial Monologue with your best hostesses, Casey
With
Lowenthal.
and Morgan Humberg. I was gonna say we're the hostesses with a lot.
We're a lot of baggage. We're the hostesses with a lot of baggage.
A lot of sleep deprivation.
Yeah. Stress lines.
A lot of carbs.
Mm-hmm. Stress acne.
Whew. Don't even
That's
get
a
me
big
started.
one. It's like high school again. Only, in high school we didn't actually have things to worry about. We just had acne because puberty. But now we're adults, just stressing beyond belief.
Adult acne is, I'm not gonna say it's worse. It's its own beast.
It is. Mostly because, I feel like 60% of the world doesn't have to suffer through it. Like, I show up to work and I'm like, God damn it, there's that pimple again. And then I look at my coworkers and they're just, clean and fresh face. So they're either not living a stressful life or they're just lucky bastards.
Yeah, I don't even know if I want this in the podcast, but I guess I'll say it because we're real people.
Yes, real and raw.
I have a lot of back acne and it's something I've struggled with for pretty much my whole like through puberty and now. It's something I struggle with. And I have a lot of acne scars from it and I feel like nobody else has that.
No, people definitely do. They just wear shirts all the time. So, until we officially free the nipple, we ain't going to see anybody else's.
It's legal in New York State for women to walk around topless.
No way. What? How'd I miss that announcement?
I heard that. I think it's been legal for a while, but also I feel like New York City is one of the capitals for catcalling, so maybe it's just not as widely practiced.
Flaunt it if you got it. You know what I mean? That's Broadway for you. Yeah, no, I didn't know that. That's so cool. Cool, but not cool because it also gets very cold in New York. So I don't know if I'd want to walk around without a shirt on.
Maybe in the summer.
Yeah. Anyways,
I was just going to say that's not what this episode's about. Morgan, what is this episode about?
so this episode, we're going to talk about the millennial wages. Specifically, our first job, working minimum wage for the man. The man.
And how our next jobs were not much better in
Nope.
pay increases because that's how the millennial workforce does.
Yep. Start really low, take a long ass time. You're still really low. Just
Work for a nonprofit, you're still
Yep.
really low.
Maybe that's why we're all happy with working for a nonprofit because either way, we're going to get paid shit. So,
Might as well do
Just-
something I'm passionate about.
exactly. Exactly. As all millennials would understand.
And
Oh,
somehow
God.
I'm supporting myself, so it can't be that bad, right?
Right? Yeah, we're keeping a roof over our heads. We do have Wi-Fi, which is a luxury. You have to remember. Wi-Fi doesn't exist everywhere.
That's true.
So,
Paying our student loans.
barely making somewhat of a dent. I mean, when do we graduate? 2016 is 2020, so we're almost halfway through the average 10-year payment plans they give people. So,
The last time I did the math on it, I should be paying off my student loans right after my 31st birthday.
damn.
So 5 more years, buddy.
Yeah. Same though. I should be on that same track. I always want to pay more, but then I'm just like, I should also pay rent. Eventually it'll go away. But for now, minimum payment's all I got for you. Anyways, Casey. Casey, tell me about your first job.
My first job was in retail, and I got it. Actually, this year will be 10 years ago from when I first entered the workforce,
Wow.
which is pretty crazy. It was at a Tommy Hilfiger outlet store in an outdoor mall. So if you're doing the math, yes, an outdoor mall in Northwest Indiana that got pounded with lake effect snow. We did have snow days.
Nice.
Um, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, I got it right after I got a license and I was able to drive because both my parents worked, and being from a very, very small town, um, I had to drive places for work. And
How far did you have to drive for this job?
25 minutes, 30 minutes.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, it was at a Tommy Hilfiger outlet store in an outdoor mall right off Lake Michigan. Yeah, it was the people that I started with were really cool. But yeah, I started at minimum wage,
Remind people what minimum wage is for us in Indiana when we started.
725.
Yes.
Yeah,
Good times.
725.
And how many hours would you get in a week?
It depended because I was still in high school. I was doing
Yeah.
extracurricular activities right around the time when I started the job was when I started soccer. I had never played soccer before. I was not very good at soccer, but it was very fun, and that's what mattered. But so like I had to work around my soccer schedule, and then I don't think I did cheerleading junior and senior year, so I didn't have to worry about that. But I did. That's when I started community theater because again, I could drive to the
Mhm.
community theater, which was like 30 minutes in the opposite direction of my job. And then I ran track in the spring, so like there was things I had to work around.
Mhm.
Um, but I would say on average I was getting like 10, 20 hours a week, something
That's
like that. And
that's
then the summer it would bump up to 30s.
that's pretty good
hmm
considering you were in high school at the time. That's a lot more, that's a lot of hours. That's
Well,
a
like
lot.
there were some days where, or there were some weeks where I like would work maybe one day or
Right.
so. Yeah, and also it was almost 10 years ago. I don't really.
No, no, I'm not asking for accuracy here. No, no. We don't require that. I kind of forgot that that would have been 10 years ago, to be honest.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it. Maybe I
No.
should have kept a very detailed calendar like fucking what's his face who now is on the Supreme Court. Don't get me started, even though I got myself started.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Guys, keep that in mind with your kids. Make sure you just start a detailed scheduled diary of their life now. Like the photos on Facebook don't count. I mean, they can only be naked babies for your audience for so long, you know. Just keep track of what they ate, when they ate, what activity they did that day. It's important that we remember these times in our lives.
And then don't acknowledge that it's all written in pencil and it could change, or you could totally fabricate the whole calendar. I'm sorry. I'm gonna slide off my soapbox, as we say.
Casey, are you telling me right now that pencil can be erased?
Yes.
What? Honestly, I don't think people even use pencils anymore. I don't think that's a thing. Conspiracy theory. Anyways,
Yes, jobs. So I was getting 725. So really that was my, I was privileged enough to still live with my parents in high school and like come back and live with my parents during college. And I worked that job on like college breaks when I came back. So yeah, I had that job for 5.5 years.
damn.
Yeah, and which I recognize is very rare for somebody my age to do that. Right after I graduated high school, I got a second job at a gas station to save more money. But they wouldn't let me do seasonal stuff when I came back. So,
Right.
good old Tommy Hilfiger.
Well, I mean, that's great. That's a pretty trustworthy job that you had to start out with then.
Yeah, and I feel like it set a really good foundation they had really high customer service expectations.
Mm-hmm.
But not in like a creepy way. I vibed with it really well. And I feel like that's helped set the foundation for all of my other stuff. And yeah,
That's good.
everything happens for a reason, people.
It does. It does. I mean, those minimum wage jobs that you might slightly despise as a young adult teach you a lot of things that you need to know in the future. You just don't appreciate them at that time, like customer
Exactly.
service.
Well, and to kind of branch off that a little bit, so many millennials have had to work in customer service in some way, shape, or form in their life that
Mhm.
they are much more likely to respect other service workers.
Yes. That's very important to note to all you people who came into me when I was making your coffee and you were frustrated that I was 5 minutes behind when you first ordered because there were 30 people in front of you.
Well, and also it probably wasn't even exactly 5 minutes. It's just
No.
it wasn't instant, so they felt like it was too long.
Exactly. Exactly. It's so frustrating. And I know there are a lot of people who are like our age, probably on the younger end as well, who also get frustrated with like how quote unquote slowly things take. Like I have seen way more people leave drive-through lines recently than I did like as a kid. Like we would just sit there for 10, 15 minutes, you know. Sometimes there's only like two people working at 9, 10 o'clock at night. It's just
Yeah. And the
you
thing
can't
that
expect
pisses
it.
me off is when people take it out on the service workers and scream at them and be like, you need to have more people working. It's like,
Yeah.
bitch, you think I want to be this overworked? Do you think I have control over how much corporate is cutting hours?
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's ridiculous. I mean, but they don't think about that because they've never had to do it. And that's the
And because
important
it
thing.
doesn't affect them.
Right. Right. So they just don't appreciate it. I definitely appreciate service people.
Yeah.
Anyone working a service job, I'm like, I feel for you. I have been there.
You know who I really, this is kind of off topic, but you know who I totally feel for, and I had to have a long, hard look in the mirror with myself and realize I could never do this job?
Uh,
A flight attendant.
ooh, yeah, that's got to be rough.
I mean, yeah, you could go anywhere and do all these amazing things, and it's great while you're young and not tied down,
Hmm.
but everybody who's worked at a service job, also my cat's being loud. Uh, Sister, are you done?
We'll wait.
Sir?
Excuse me, sir. This table is complaining about how much noise you're making. I'm gonna have to ask you to leave the premises. Sir, 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 I'm gonna have to ask you
Cat,
to
he
leave.
doesn't care. Desert! Hey, please.
Now that is an
Ew.
example of someone who doesn't appreciate the service industry.
Where was I? Oh, flight attendants. So yeah,
Yeah.
you get to see all these really cool places. You get to travel, especially while you're young and not tied down or anything.
Hmm.
Um, but everybody who's worked in customer service, you know, you have those people who are just awful and you can't wait for them to leave. Imagine being stuck on a 20-hour flight with them to Australia.
No thanks.
That's where I was like,
No
no.
thanks. Plus, you never know where those people on the plane came from. Like maybe they just had like a 6 hour layover somewhere and they're exhausted and cranky. And you know that they're not taking it out on you, but it's still going out on you. And you have to be like, smile on your face. Can I get you some more vodka? Can I?
Even though the flight attendants are also flying all day.
Yeah.
And like I
Yep.
seriously looked into applying. I almost applied to be a flight attendant, but it was like once you get hired and you're in your quote unquote probation period, or basically you're like the lowest on the totem pole,
Hmm.
you have to go wherever they station you. And tons of flight attendants have like crash pads
Yeah.
where a bunch of them will just pool on rent for an apartment where they basically just sleep there.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then you have to be at the airport within like an hour's notice or 2 hours notice or something if they
Hmm.
need you. And I was just like, no, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we actually, this is also, I mean, it's on the same topic, but it's off topic. We have a friend who's a pilot, and he was in his main, whatchamacallit, concourse? Airport? Whatever. I'm just going to call it an airport. his main airport was LAX,
Okay.
which is in itself an insane place to be. But
Is your friend Peter from The Bachelor?
no, but I wish. He drives a really cool car. Oh my God. Um, no, but he he lived in like a practically a studio apartment with at least 6, 7 other people who were also like they were flight attendants or pilots as well. And it's because they had to be within a certain range from the airport, including traffic. They had to be able to get there in less than an hour. And it's crazy. Like that's his life. Like he just gets up, flies, and then comes back to a place with 6 other people who are doing the same thing, who are just completely exhausted. And you're like, oh my God, how can you enjoy that life?
I
But then
could not do that.
you get on a plane and some of the flight attendants are like, hey, party up on board here. And you're just like, dear God, where does this energy come from? And then
Yeah.
you realize why there's an existence of so many coffee shops within airport terminals. It's for the
Yes.
flight attendants. So yeah, it's crazy. It's a lot of training for sure.
Yes. But before we get too off topic, Morgan,
Yes.
tell us about
Yeah.
your first job.
Oh dear. Well, the first job that I actually got paid for was lifeguarding. Dun, dun, dun.
Saving lives.
Yeah,
And
saving
looking
lives.
sexy.
It wasn't super sexy. I worked at an indoor pool and I basically watched over a bunch of kids. Um, but I chose lifeguarding because I was a swimmer, so I thought this would be pretty easy to learn. Like I already could fit all the training requirements. I just had to get certified, and lucky our school had like a certification course built into our curriculum if we wanted to take it. So I took it,
That's
got my
nice.
certification, got my first job as a lifeguard at the YMCA. It was a good time. As I said, there were plenty of kids there to keep me busy all summer long. Um, the problem with my job, though, was the hours because you either had to be there super early or I wouldn't say super late, but it's not like the pool was open all day. So I mostly worked weekends and just maybe like a couple hours after school. But I also had the problem of extracurriculars. Like I had swimming and track and band and all of the fun stuff. So I was honestly only getting maybe like 10 hours a week during school. And
Okay.
then during the summer, I think I was getting probably more like 20, but that was like a max. Just because we weren't allowed to work more than so many certain hours as lifeguards.
Okay.
But not that the YMCA always listened to that. I definitely didn't get breaks when I was supposed to. So it's fine. It's totally fine. But definitely in that job, I learned how to talk to people because like we would have a lot of elderly people come in for classes and they always want to make small talk with you, which technically you're not supposed to do as a lifeguard. But if there's 2 people in the pool, I think you'll be okay.
Oh, because your
So,
attention is supposed to be on the people in the pool, not to somebody who's talking to you.
yes.
So
Yeah.
that's why there's the archetype of the aloof lifeguard.
Yep. We're not really supposed to make conversation with people. It's in our training that, when people talk to us, we have to like keep, our eyes all the time on our areas. And if they talk to us, you can respond, but most of the time you have to respond like go ask somebody else because you're busy. You're busy saving lives. I have saved 2 lives in my life.
Oh my God, that's
Uh,
amazing.
yeah. I mean, it was okay. It was one kid who like wandered over to the deep end and just went down. I had to go get him.
Oh no.
And then somebody else like stepped on something. I don't know. It was an interesting this is an interesting thing. Let's just say there was blood everywhere.
Oh my God, there's blood
There's
everywhere.
blood everywhere. Um so yeah, I mean it's cool and rewarding in the fact, but also it's terrifying. It's utterly terrifying to have somebody else's life in your hands.
I can imagine.
Um so I guess I learned from lifeguarding, I learned small talk and handling your stress levels to a point.
That I think is a good point to make about just service jobs in general.
Yeah.
Is you have to be able to handle your stress because you have to like put on a face
Yep.
and just kind of deal with it. But I would, oh man, what's something I learned? Well, I talked about my high level of customer service.
Yes.
Um, but also we would have a ton of people from all different countries come to this mall. I don't know why. I don't know
Really?
why Michigan City, Indiana is such a popular tourist destination. Um, but yeah, we would have tons of people who like didn't speak any English or spoke very broken English. So
Hmm.
that was interesting learning how to still give those people the high level of customer service and communicate with them within a language barrier. So that was interesting. Um, yeah, just being able to work with tons of different kinds of people. I didn't have such a concise phrasing of this until the job posting for my current job, which I think is funny. But where my first job is where I really learn, and like all my other jobs have helped me hone this, is grace under pressure.
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure. The grace that I learned under pressure would have been from my second job, which was working at the Subway. Which, in case anybody's wondering, yes, I do have a certificate that certifies me as a sandwich artist. It is a
Ooh,
thing. I took classes online. I had to pass Subway University, hardest test in my life. Not really.
really?
Yeah, yeah.
They have a
It was
Subway University?
yeah, yeah. It just had like classes on how you're supposed to cut the bread, and you have to like memorize the recipes. But they also have a cheat sheet on the other side of that counter, just in case anyone's wondering, that tells you how many slices of meat goes on the sandwich, how many slices of peppers. Yeah. So every time I go to a Subway now, I'm like, you shorted me a tomato. You put too many pickles on there. Just kidding. You can never have too many pickles.
Yes, you
Um,
can. The answer is any pickles
all
are
of the
too
pickles.
many.
All of the pickles. No, but I am a certified sandwich artist, and Cena's not happy about it.
She wants to know how often you use the cheat sheet.
Never. So my way of dealing with people was every time I would turn around to make your sandwich, I would smile at you, be happy, make small talk with you. And I'm like, oh, okay. You think that I'm doing this wrong? All right, I'm going to put you behind the counter. Yes, I will warm that chicken up in the microwave for you because you don't want warm bread. Sure can do. But every time I turned around to put a sandwich in the toaster oven, I promise you all, I probably cussed you out on the other side of the counter.
Insider secrets.
Um, yeah, that definitely happened. I mean, you can't see me. You don't know what I'm doing. But
No.
like, that was how I had to deal with things. Because I mean, some people are just so infuriating. And not to mention, like, the way you look at somebody when you're ordering something is like their impression of you. So if you're having a bad day and you come up to me and you're blaming your day on me, and this is the first time we've ever met, I'm gonna hit you back with the same attitude, to be honest.
It's hard.
Yeah.
That's another thing. It took me a very long time to learn just because of who I am as a person and like
Yeah.
a very bad people pleaser and everything like that. It took and like a lot of insecurities, which I'm overcoming. So round of
Mhm.
applause for me. Thank you very much. Uh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Uh, but no, it took me a very long time to internalize that how people treat you is a reflection of themselves
Mhm.
and also how people view you is a reflection of themselves.
This is true.
So that's your little psychology lesson for the day. But yeah, I've never been brave enough to work. Oh, that's a lie. I have worked in food service for a brief
Jeez.
stint. I quite literally worked in a fried cheese truck during a state fair.
Woo!
I always forget about that one for some reason.
Black
That's my
those memories
only,
out.
yeah, that's my only stint in food service. I used to say when I was younger, I used to be like, I'm never gonna work in food service.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
And then you did.
I'm for like a couple weeks. Oh,
Still counts.
it does. Um, but yeah, I think just the way to get through anything is having a good camaraderie with your coworkers.
Mm-hmm. That's the only thing that got me through working at Subway. Like it wasn't like it was god awful, but having people that I enjoyed working with helped a lot for
Mm-hmm.
sure. Especially if they're um they know that they have to do their job too, so that if you need a break because you've been dealing with so many crappy people all day, you can like step to the side and they'll be fine being like, yeah, I get it. I'll take over for, however long you need while you do your break. Rather than those people who just like go out on smoke breaks and they're just like, no, it's your job. You need to do it. Excuse me? We're a
Yeah.
team.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that set up a really good foundation for me with my first job, but also spoiled me a little bit was we had a really close, tight-knit work community where people helped you out, managers advocated for you. It was just a really overall great work environment. But as we slowly got new people in, you could see the little changes.
Mm-hmm.
So there was one story. First, I'll tell you from my perspective, and then I'll tell you what I found out after the fact.
Okay.
So I don't know why people just thought we would watch their bags for them. That's never occurred to me. Like, it's your bag. If you want to make sure it doesn't get stolen, you carry it.
Yeah.
I don't know. But we all the time, people would be like, if I leave my bag here, can you watch it? Like their shopping bag. It's like
Mm-hmm.
either take it out to your car or carry it. So we had this store policy of just to protect the employees. It was a store policy of you can leave your bag anywhere you want, but we have to let you know we are not going to watch it. And
Yeah.
that's what anybody was supposed to say whenever asked. So this woman comes up to me and starts screaming at me that her bag has been stolen and how it's our fault because she was told it would be watched. She starts going off on me about how she's a manager at another retail store and she would never accept this behavior from her employees. Meanwhile, I hadn't spoken to this woman like at all ever.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time I've ever seeing her in my life. And so I'm, being very customer servicey. I'm so sorry, ma'am. It's our policy like XYZ. As far as I understand, all the employees know that this is what you're supposed to say. This is our policy, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
So she starts going off on me, and her husband is trying to calm her down. It's not working. Then I don't remember what happened, but they ended up leaving, and somebody returned their bag. No, that's what it was. I think while she was yelling at me, someone came in and was like, oh, your bag got mixed up with our bags. Here you go. This is not ours. And then she had to be like, oh. And,
I'd walk away.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like that person who's like, oh, I'm wrong. And I'm very, very wrong. But I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to admit I'm wrong, even though I've just treated you like a giant asshole. So while I was dealing with that, one of my other coworkers who got promoted, even though he had quit, and it was a whole big thing, he had quit, and then he was like, I want to come back, but I'm only going to come back if you promote me. And I had been working there longer than him, but because politics I'm not going to get into.
Right, yeah.
He was a floor manager at that point, and I found out later he came out onto the floor from the back room, saw this woman berating me, turned around, walked away because he was the one who told her that he would watch her bag.
No.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So it was the little things like that as like the good core people were leaving.
Yeah.
And then new people were coming in. It just like kept
Went
getting a
downhill.
little bit more downhill.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that kind of speaks to what you were talking about of the people. You can really see the drastic
Mm-hmm.
differences in work culture.
I mean, it's just like when you have people who like care about you and want to make sure that your mental health is sane, but as well as, we're here to work. This is what we are hired to do. We're going to,
Hmm.
do the job. It's it's fine. I mean, it's not like it's always a happy environment, but it definitely takes a lot of stress off of you,
Yeah.
especially when you're working for like so little money and you're just like, why am I not getting paid enough to deal with these people?
Yes, it helps so much just having, like you said, people who care about you who are in the exact same situation. They know what you're going through.
Hmm.
They maybe they've helped that customer in the past and they know, or like
Yeah.
they can see them and warn you and be like, "Hey, this person usually is like this, just so you know."
Yeah.
Or help train you on things that they notice you could improve on. Um, I mean, like I've never worked, like I said, I had my brief little stint in food service, but I have worked at a credit union. I was dealing with people's money and people get nasty, and I was in a very uppity area.
Yep.
People were just the worst, and my manager was awful. We touched a little bit on that in the toxic work environment episode. So go back
Hmm.
and listen to that.
Do
Um,
it.
but yeah, the only way I got through for as long as I did was my coworkers
Yeah.
because my manager didn't advocate for me. There was a man who literally berated me on the phone for maybe 10 minutes, screaming at me about how I didn't know anything and how I had to be so uneducated. And oh, I was probably making $15 an hour and he had a MFA or an MBA, not an MFA. Excuse me, MBA. And I wanted to be like, no, sir, I don't make $15 an hour.
Hell
But
no.
it was so bad. I cried and
Hmm.
I maybe can count on one hand the entire times I've cried at work. But yeah, I had to leave and go cry and one of my other coworkers was like she she had my back. She was great. Yeah, he called back cuz I had to keep telling him. I was like if you keep speaking to me this way, I'm going to hang up the phone.
Yeah.
And so he was calling me out on it and so finally I hung up the phone and um he called back and she answered and he started screaming at her and she goes, "Well, she told you she was going to hang up."
Truth. Yeah, I mean it is, and I mean that's one of the biggest debates today, like the whole minimum wage thing, because obviously each state has their own separate minimum wage to go along with whatever sort of inflation is going on in their state, and then you have the federal minimum wage, and it's just such a big debate because people are like, well, why should somebody who's making my hamburger make like $10 an hour, whereas when I was making it, I was making like five. I'm pretty sure that minimum wage has been the same for a few years now. I need to
Yeah,
fact check that, but
and there is no state where someone working full-time on minimum wage can afford to have an apartment by themselves and support themselves.
hmm
It's not possible. I
which
would
is
say that, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, which is adding to the fight where millennials are being like everyone's saying, well, millennials are staying at home with their parents longer, but it's because we literally cannot leave the house. Like we cannot afford
Yeah.
to leave the house.
Well, and also like there's quality of life to think about. You technically can. You could go and work four jobs. I think Morgan, you've actually done that.
Yes, I did while
And
living at home.
yeah, I mean technically you can do it, but also there's a quality of life and it's like are we so brainwashed by capitalism that if you're not working yourself to absolute death are you quote unquote allowed to live a normal life? Like and that just adds to the stress of everything else. And I got so frustrated I forgot where I was going.
Hashtag millennials.
Oh, oh my God.
No, I get it. I mean, it's a thing of like there's like a life that you're quote unquote expected to live. Like I'm just going to use college as an example because it was so much different for me than I'm sure it is for a lot of people because I had to commute because I literally could not afford to live on campus in campus housing and I had to have special circumstances to commute because I was so far away. But I was going to college full time. While I was going to college full time, I was working two jobs. During the summer, I would work 3 to 4 jobs in order to, pay for my gas, save up some money to move out on my own, and pay for my college tuition. And it's just crazy that like I had to work so much. I probably went to 3 to 4 parties at college the whole 4 years I was there, honestly. Even when I lived on campus, I went to maybe 2.
Yeah.
But it's like crazy to think that I didn't actually get to quote enjoy my college experience because I was trying so hard to like prepare, I guess, to be an adult. Like I just felt like I wasn't ready, like I wasn't earning enough, and I just, even though I was working so hard, it was like I was getting little tiny rewards every time.
hmm And I mean, the only reason I was able to afford to go where we went to school was because I got a full ride tuition. I mean, even then, I still had to pay for housing, and all that was loans.
Yeah.
And most of what I was living on, granted, I was in a fortunate enough circumstance that my parents were able to give me some money throughout college, but I was living on loans. Like senior year of college, my loans paid for our house, like
Yeah.
my part of our house rent. And I'm not in a nearly as bad of a situation as a lot of people our age, but I've still got 5 figures of student debt. I mean,
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, it's also special for us because we did go to a quote private college, which I
yeah.
really think that just means they can jack up the price without a full excuse for it. But
Oh,
but I mean, it's the one place I wanted to go, so you can, say that I'm privileged because I went to a private rather than a community. But at the same time, it offered what I needed, and I thought, like, as a human being, I want to go for what's going to help me the most in my future.
exactly.
So I know I'm going to have to work my ass off to pay for this in my future, but
hmm
hopefully the degree pays for itself, right?
That's the goal.
That's what it's supposed to do. Um, yeah, but I mean, it's insane. Like they keep raising the prices to like get that extra schooling, but nothing has changed as far as what we would be paid just starting out.
Yeah,
So,
it's ridiculous. I mean, the what's considered to be the average American, well, it's not actually average, but what a lot of people think when they think American annual income is 40 grand a year.
yeah.
That's actually very hard for people in our age bracket to achieve. You have to be working unless you like got a pharmacy degree. We went to school with a lot of pharmacists, but uh I mean, especially people in the arts, making getting to the point where you make that 40 grand, a lot
Mhm.
of for a lot of people that's a very inaccessible thing or it takes a very long time to work up to, especially I mean, we were joking about not making any money in a nonprofit, but
Mhm.
you don't get in a nonprofit for the money.
No.
To be totally transparent, because I also believe that people should talk about what they make because it evens the playing field for everybody else.
Mhm.
I work in patron services, which a lot of people know as front of house. I do like a lot of other things. I wouldn't say it's necessarily an entry level position. It's probably like a step above that. Um, I make 29,000 a year. Somehow I'm able to support myself, living by myself. Um,
Yeah.
I don't really know how I do it. I don't really think about how I do it. um, that's about what people our age, especially people in our field, are lucky to make.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm very grateful that I get to work in my field and I'm very grateful I get paid to work in an environment that I love so much and be around something that I love so much. Would it be nice to make more money? Yes. Am I working my ass off to get there? Yes.
Yes. Yes and yes. No, I remember after I graduated college, I went basically straight to California because I just wanted to go to West Coast. And I was like, I'm gonna live the artist dream. That
hmm
turned out well. But I just remember job hunting. And I mean, it's one of the reasons why I did work so hard in college was to save up money because I knew it was going to be a hot minute before I like hooked something stable in California. So every day I would go out job hunting. And one of the first interviews I went to, he asked like, how much do you want to make or how much do you expect to make sort of thing in a year? And I was like, well, I believe that with my education and all the, extra stuff that they tell you to put in there when you interview, I basically said I should be making around 40 grand a year. And he just looked at me and he goes, it's funny because pretty much everyone who comes in here to this entry level position thinks that they should make that. When in reality, you'll be lucky to make 30. And I was just like,
In
What?
California.
Yeah, in California, where our rent for I think it was like a 600, 700 square foot apartment was just as much as a house that's like 2,000 square feet here. Um,
I would be so interested to see what the conversion of that is because like Cleveland's a cheaper city to live in.
yeah.
Um, hashtag blessed. And but I would be so curious what $30,000 a year in California would equate to in Cleveland. I would think it would have to be like maybe 20,000 a year, maybe like 18.
I, I mean, I wouldn't even know because it was so difficult, like knowing where I came from, how much education, how many skills I have, like living in a place that I'd always dreamed of living, but like never getting to experience it because you have to work so hard to pay to live there. I mean, I had to work two jobs in California just to pay my rent and,
Hmm.
earn money back that I had spent getting there. I have no clue what the conversion is, but I definitely prefer living in Austin when it comes to the economy. And I mean, on the other hand, the minimum wage in California is, I believe it's 10.50 or 10.25. Um, so it's higher minimum wage, but higher price of living. So it's
Right.
it's really the same thing. Again, goes back to the thing where people are like, "Oh my God, they pay you $10 to make my sandwich," and I'm like, "Well, I'm paying 1,500 to live here."
Yes,
So
to make your
it's
sandwich.
it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah.
Part of me just wants to look at society and go, what happened? People used to be able to work a summer job and be able to put themselves through college. People
Hmm.
used to be able to buy a house at 21 and that was normal. It
Yeah.
wasn't seen as like, "Oh my God, you bought a house at 21. How the hell did you do that? Sit me down and tell
True.
me how you did it. What do you do? What's your budget?" Like
Yeah.
it was
Did you
just
start
like,
working at 12?
right.
And I mean, even when, like, I guess that you're transparent, so I'll be transparent. Um, like right now, I'm in my other degree is in communications because I figured, technology, you earn lots and lots of money because Austin's a quote unquote tech city. Um, but I'm only making roughly between 40 45 grand a year. And I'm not rich by any means, but
No.
apparently, if I would take it to Cleveland, though, I could live in a I could probably buy a house if I lived in Cleveland and I made that much a year.
I actually think it might be possible. I haven't talked to a mortgage lender yet, but I need to save up for a down payment. But I
Yeah.
think I could maybe buy a house on my income in Cleveland.
See, so I'd be a millionaire in Cleveland, but here in Austin, I'm just an average Joe. Definitely working as much as I have, all of the service jobs and the minimum wage jobs taught me a lot of patience,
Mhm.
and I have an extremely good work ethic, I would think.
You do.
Gonna
You
pat
are
myself on the
amazing,
back.
Morgan. Yes, like I'm literally giving you a round of applause right now. Your work ethic is fabulous.
But I mean, you got a really good work ethic from those minimum wage jobs too, because like it like forces you to be like, I don't want to just be paid this much just to like barely live. Should minimum wage be raised? Yes, it should, because people should be able to live off of a minimum wage.
Hmm. Yeah, it definitely teaches you a lot. And something I've always found funny is people look at fast food jobs, they look at retail jobs, they look at what's another example? I mean,
Um, Marketing jobs where you're on the street giving people free cell phones because the government said so, and it's your first job out in California, and you're out there for 10 hours a day in 100-degree heat wearing business clothes. Yes.
that wasn't the direction I was going, but that sounds awful. I was going to say, like, people look at fast food jobs and retail jobs as those are high school student jobs, those are
Hmm.
student jobs. And it's like, who do you think runs this store between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m.?
Yeah, sure as hell with me.
Adults. Like that's their job. Like
Yeah,
that's the thing I've never understood. And also, just because people are high schoolers doesn't mean you should treat them like shit.
true. We're kids and we have a lot to learn, but still.
kids are the future.
Uh-huh. Exactly. So if you treat them like shit, they'll, treat you like shit. And when the purge comes, they'll sacrifice the elderly first.
Right.
Um,
And people are wondering why more kids are like looking to YouTube and like why
mhm.
influencers have become such a big thing. It's because you have much more control. Not, I wouldn't say much more control. That's not accurate. You have the ability to potentially make a lot more money
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
same amount of time.
It is crazy. Like our wages have been at a standstill, and like the fact that older generations are like complaining that we're not making enough money is just ridiculous to me. Like they already have houses, and sure, property taxes might have raised, so they have to pay more, whatever. But they're already settled. You already have where you need to be. We're like climbing our way up the ladder, but the ladder just keeps getting longer and longer, and it's like impossible for us to catch up to where we need to be and or want to be.
And like, especially after working in a financial institution and seeing, well, one, I feel like as a general overview, millennials are much more cognizant of the fact of like, okay, I need to save for retirement. One, because we know Social Security isn't going to be there for us. We're paying into it. We're not going to get anything out of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole nother conversation. It's basically money down the drain for us.
Yeah.
So we realize we have to save for retirement. One point, so many of those minimum wage jobs don't give you the opportunity to save for retirement.
Yep.
I wasn't able to start saving for my retirement until I was my first job out of college at the bank or the credit union, excuse me, technicalities. But uh, yeah, that's where I first started saving for retirement. But also, it just being reaffirmed how important that is and being like, okay, I have to take even more money out of my paycheck so that I can save for this, because I would see people who were trying to live off Social Security and they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
They were maxed out on credit cards and overdrawing their bank accounts. Like, if you take anything away from this, please, if you can, I know it's a privilege, but if you can, do yourself a favor and save for retirement.
Oh my God. Yeah. There's like
Because,
so many articles out there that tell you like if you save this amount of money every day for like the rest of your life, or you take this certain amount out of your paycheck, you will have enough to live. Anything more than
mm-hmm,
that, and you could live a quote unquote luxurious life in the retirement home. But like you need to make sure that you're taking at least this much out of your paycheck every week, biweekly, whatever, so that you can have a life when you can't work anymore. And
mm-hmm.
it's crazy. And it's the same thing like when people complain about, this is like calling people out, but like the Walmart greeters, how they're usually elderly people. And people always complain because they're like, oh my God, they're so slow. Why do they have to check my receipt? Yada, yada, yada. They are literally working to live.
To
Like,
survive.
yeah. It goes back to the thing, be nice to people. You don't know what their situation is. And realize that people should earn enough money to not only live every day, even if it's just the bare minimum living, but live after they can physically no longer work.
And
That,
that's what I don't understand that our generation seems to have grasped, and I think the
yeah.
generation after us has too, but older generations are just like, no way. It's like, why don't people deserve to be treated like people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what I never understand.
I don't know about you, but I personally cannot imagine retiring at 60. Like, I know that that's like the age that you're supposed to get off the workforce.
I thought it was 63 and then it went up to 65.
Okay, well, anything like around 60 just seems crazy to me because like I just don't think I'm gonna earn enough money where I'm at right now to retire at that age. Like I'm definitely gonna have to work into 80. Like I feel it. I can feel it.
I I strive to be like my dad's mom, who's not with us anymore, but she from what I know, I don't know the whole picture, but from what I know, she was pretty good with money, and she retired and then she got bored and she was like, I'm bored. I'm going to go back to work. She didn't have to. But like that's what I see us doing. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm bored.
bored. I spent the last 60 years
Yep.
working my ass off, and like, girl, I've got plans for like I've got entrepreneurial plans. I've got all these plans
Hmm.
that I want to do.
Yeah,
So we'll see how it goes. I mean, you're going to be the next Sigourney Weaver slash Sandra Bullock slash
that's the
everything
goal.
amazing.
That's the goal. I mean,
Yeah.
on your topic of being bored, when I first moved to Austin, well, not when I first moved. I guess after I got stopped working at Starbucks, um, I was working 40 hours a week and I wasn't really doing a whole lot of like outside stuff. And all I could think was like, I want to go back to working at Starbucks. Can I do both? Can I like wake up at 3 a.m., go to work for 6 hours, then go to work for 8 hours, and then
That's what I was just going to ask you to clarify for people who didn't know
yeah,
is that Starbucks was your second job in Austin
yeah,
and
yeah.
you were making enough money to quit your second job.
Yes. Yeah, that's at that time. I'm lucky enough now to only have to work one job, but I still work 35,000 because I get bored. That's true. I'm bored. Like I have to work. Like I have to do something. I have to keep my mind busy.
Yeah.
I prefer to get paid for it, but you get
And
what you get.
honestly, from personal experience, working in a job that was very, very slow and just all around horrible. But I did learn a lot
Yeah.
um, that I'm grateful for, both skills wise and what to not accept and what to accept. Being bored and not feeling productive just takes you down this really dark rabbit hole, and it's not good. I mean, my job now, I'm super busy, but I've never been happier.
Right.
Am
Yeah.
I stressed sometimes? Yes.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, just that just proves that millennials, it's not because millennials don't like to work that we're complaining about wages or going to work. It's just, we know what we're worth. We're pretty aware of it.
And
So
even then, we lowball ourselves
this is true.
because we know what the job market is and we know that we're not going to get paid what we're worth.
Yep. Which has also created the mental health stigma around millennials too, how we're like the one generation who always needs help. Yes, I need someone to vent to so that I don't scream at the customers. I mean, it just
Yeah, I mean, when you're getting verbally abused,
yeah.
literally,
Yeah.
millennials, especially millennials in the arts. I mean, can we just take a second?
Hmm.
Millennials in the arts are some of the hardest working people I've ever met
Yeah.
because you're not only working and creating your art, you're also working to support yourself.
Yep.
So,
Mind blown.
and also, if you don't respect artists, you're not allowed to watch TV, you're not allowed to look at ads, you're not allowed to watch movies or listen to music or listen to pop. You're not allowed to do anything.
Nope.
Try to interact with something that's not art. You're not allowed to go to Home Goods and buy stuff because somebody
Nope.
designed it.
Yes. Yep. And somebody sold it to you, and somebody probably helped you find it, and you probably forgot their name, and you feel really bad when you get to the register and they're like, "Who helped you today?" And I'm like, he had brown hair.
That's the
Um,
worst. I know it's
I
to help them out, but like
feel so
also
bad.
I can't speak for you, but coming from a customer service industry where I had to wear a name tag all the time, it
Hmm.
would be so uncomfortable where people you didn't know would come up to you and be like, in my case, "Well, thanks, Casey." And I'm like, don't say
You
my
don't
name. I don't
know
know
me.
you. You're a
Yeah.
stranger."
Stranger. No, I didn't. I never had that at Subway, mostly because I never really wore my name tag, even though I was definitely required to. But at Starbucks, they always got me because you have to wear it right on that apron. And they're like, "Oh, thank you, Morgan. Okay. Jujubashadidid." Handwritten cups. You can never read the name. Um, it's fine. It's fine. No, it was a good time.
Well, I guess to kind of wrap this up, and while I have you here talking about Starbucks,
Yes.
what are your thoughts on the conspiracy theory that Starbucks trained employees to write names incorrectly so that people would take pictures and give Starbucks free advertising?
I think I'm gonna have to shut this podcast down.
Dun dun dun.
Dun, 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 dun. I also went to school for Starbucks as well. I'm a certified barista here, people. So not only am I like the perfect wife, I can make sandwiches and coffee, but I also have a real job.
Look at you.
I know, right?
And you're so experimental with tea combinations.
Oh, yes. Really freaked people out at Starbucks. Sorry, Starbucks people. Yeah, no, it's a good time. The conspiracy is real, though. Anyways,
Heard it here first.
Casey, I really enjoyed hearing about your retail experience because I never worked retail, so I had no clue what you had to go through.
Well, just be thankful that you didn't spend an hour. Well, I had a picture on my phone because I was so proud of it. There was a giant polo wall that just had stacks and stacks and stacks of polos.
Oh no.
And one day it was pretty dead. I spent the whole entire shift refolding that polo wall. It looked so fucking beautiful. But nothing hurts your heart more than when you perfect a table or you perfect a wall, and then somebody who doesn't need a double extra large pulls out a double extra large from the bottom of the stack and ruins your whole stack, realizes it's not their size because you do actually stack things in size order. Who would have thought? And then they just throw it on top of your table and ruin everything.
Oh my God, Casey, I'm so sorry you caught me. That was me. I did it. I did it.
I actually, my mom is very grateful that this was able to happen. But at my store, we would have for Black Friday, you could bring family and friends into work, and like they would do a lot of the folding, and the normal people would like be on cash register and stuff. I was always on cash register because I was super fast and super accurate.
Mm-hmm.
And
because you like to skim money. Yeah, we know why you're working at the bank.
my drawer is always balanced. But yeah, my mom and my sister got to work Black Friday a couple times, and my mom would be like, very similar to, I fixed the stack, it looked so good, and somebody came over and they just ruined it. And then, side note, if you're a person who does what I'm about to say, stop right now. They would yank out a shirt, look at it, decide they didn't want it, see you right there and be like, I can't fold as well as you. Here you go.
No.
That would happen all the time. All the time.
God.
People are the worst. But so my mom would be like, this happened and this happened. And I'd be like, yeah. She'd be like, people are so rude. And I'd be like, yeah.
Yeah. With a smile on your face. Yeah. Yeah. They're super rude. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm really glad I got to hear more about your food work experience, because like I said, I've only had a little bit of it, a little affair with fried cheese, if you will.
I've had a lot of it. I've had a lot of food experience. Much more than I would like to admit.
I mean, you got to do what you got to do. I
do. But side note, just to everyone who's curious, I did enjoy working for Starbucks. Subway was okay. But the whole, Casey, I know you're all into like, put into the universe and it will kind of give it to you sort of thing.
Yes.
I just want everyone to know that when I was in high school and I was thinking about getting a second job on top of lifeguarding, I was like, I don't really want to work fast food, but if I have to work in the food industry, I will either work at Subway or Starbucks, and I will accept no other offers. And I worked at both.
The universe was like, here you go, Morgan.
Yep. Healthy, fresh, and fit. Caffeinated to get you through the other 5 jobs.
What more could you want?
Complete circle.
Yes.
It was a beautiful thing. I think that's going to do us, though, for episode 8.
A dab will do ya. Oh, you looked away when I dabbed.
Dab. Crank that. Soldier boy. Why me? I don't remember the words. Why me? Superman, that hoe.
Oh.
Oh, it's O? Or is it O or ho?
No, it's ho.
Okay. Just checking.
I don't like calling women hoes.
You're such a hoe.
I know.
Holistic person. That you are. You're such a holistic person.
In the words of Michael Scott. And sometimes she ain't your hoe no mo. Something you'll learn about me, audience, is half of the things I say are just quoting other things.
I mean, that's how millennials really get through life. I think that's how we really learned how to speak.
We're all
Just watch,
fluent in office quotes.
right. Watching The Office, watching Friends. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's how we learned to communicate.
Bob's Burgers.
Well, I mean, that came in later with the millennials, though. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like we all knew how to speak by then, but it could just be me. I mean, hopefully you didn't learn with Family Guy. Maybe The Simpsons. I don't know. We're getting a little weird there.
We are.
Mm,
As long as
see
it
what-
wasn't Teletubbies, because they were scary and spoke nonsense.
They were terrifying. Also, they referred to things like Nunu. What is a Nunu? I don't say that in my life. But I have to tell you, Burger King's Teletubby pudding, ugh, that stuff was delicious. You never had that?
No.
Oh my God, yeah. When Teletubbies was really big, Burger King had Teletubby pudding. And I'm sure it was just strawberry high sugar stuff, but like it was delicious. It actually had a name. It wasn't called pudding. It was Teletubby something, but I don't remember because I wasn't really, an avid watcher, but my brother was. So
You weren't a diehard fan.
I wasn't, no. But if I had to choose, it was Tinky Winky because, he had the big red bag and I always wanted to know what was in there. So
Oh, yeah.
it was the big purple blue one. Not sure really what color he was. But
Yes.
yeah,
And
yeah.
Lala was yellow.
Mm-hmm.
Poe was red.
Yeah. And Dipsy was green.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't worry, I got you. Boo. Never watched Teletubbies in my life. The vacuum was called Nunu. That's what that was. They had a vacuum that
Oh.
looked like it had a mustache, but it was called Nunu.
Interesting.
The more you know. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Anyways, I've talked enough about Teletubbies.
I still need to make the cross stitch of the Mr. Fish odor quote that we talked about before. Take a deep breath and a slug of bourbon.
Yes, please. Just a slug.
Yeah. I'm also going to make a cross stitch thing. I'm planning a lot for my future house purchase that I will hopefully start the process this time next year. Putting that out into the universe. The universe is already maybe making things more accessible for me. More on that later.
Yes.
Maybe. Yeah, I also want to make a cross-stitch sign that says, please don't do coke in the bathroom.
Where else am I supposed to do it?
Off someone's ass.
Oh, that's where you get ass crack. Okay. Ass crack cocaine. Got you. In that order.
Yeah.
I get it. Okay. See, this is what I missed in college. I don't get all of those euphemisms. I didn't party like that.
Eat ass, suck a dick, and sell drugs.
Yep, never did that. What is wrong with me? God.
That was what a very lovely young woman told John Mulaney in New York City. And it'll live on in infamy.
Yeah, I remember my stint in New York. No.
That was you.
Always me. I'm everywhere and nowhere all at once. Super meta.
Morgan is omnipotent.
I am an enigma.
That's two $10 words for you. You didn't
And
think
this
you'd
is-
learn anything from this podcast.
This has been your English lesson with Millennial Monologue. Join us
Well,
next time as we take you through the sounds of the ocean and go over the animals you'll find on the bottom of the reef.
And then check us back in 2 months where we help you prep for the SATs.
Yes, as the world is slowly burning because you can't seem to figure out that climate change is real and you're still using plastic bags.
Will anyone listen to Greta?
Greta with a last name,
From Sweden.
who's apparently smarter than the rest of the...
I'm gonna go off on a tangent, so we should just end the pod
Yeah.
now.
Yes. Let's we have reached the end of our pod. These two peas got other things to do for the evening, but
We gotta peas out.
For those of you listening, if you're curious to know where else you can find us, there's a couple places now.
You can find us on Instagram at Millennial Monologue Podcast.
You can find us on Twitter at Millennial Mopod, as in more podcasts, mopod.
You can also find us on Spotify, Millennial Monologue,
Anchor.fm, Millennial Monologue,
iHeartRadio,
and Apple Podcasts.
and I guess YouTube.
Yeah, you can find us on YouTube too, but we just don't really dress up for the public nowadays. You know, we're so far in. It's just, why do we care? You know?
To be totally transparent, I'm not wearing pants.
I mean, I didn't think that pants was a requirement in the first place for society, but now that I know that, maybe people will stop staring at me at work.
It's frowned upon.
Yeah, you know. One thing at a time.
Yeah.
Anyways, thanks everyone for listening. We really appreciate you, and we want to hear from you. So please comment on our posts, DM us, PM us, IM us, email us. Just kidding. Oh, wait, we have an email now too. You can email us.
We do. Yes, please email us.
You can email us at millennialmonologuepodcast@gmail.com because nobody else owned that name, so we put the full name in there. millennialmonologuepodcast@gmail.com.
Yes.
Send us emails, but don't send us like dick pics. That's weird.
Nobody likes an unsolicited dick pic.
Nope.
So stop.
Straight to my spam, peeps. Straight to my spam.
But tell us funny stories. We accept pet pictures. We accept memes. We accept money.
We do. We accept that. We can't give you a tax write-off yet, but you know, one day we'll get there.
But yeah, we love you. We appreciate you, like Morgan said. Tell us what you want to hear. Like we said in our first episode, we want to monologue with you.
Yeah, tell us what grinds your gears. What really gets you going.
What puts some pep in your step.
What makes you dance your pants off.
What makes you cry in bed at 2 a.m. while you eat cupcakes.
What makes you bake for 4 hours into 4 a.m. on a weekday.
What makes you space out for 3 hours and realize you should have done a lot more things than you did.
Well, it makes you go into the grocery store planning to buy salad, and you come out with 4 bags of candy and 2 bottles of wine.
What makes you continue to listen to the same 4 songs on Spotify on loop as you sing along, even though you know your neighbors can hear you?
What makes you want to listen to this podcast until we eventually get to the point where we actually end it?
What makes you continue this conversation with us?
What makes you you? Da-da-da!
Woo!
The root of everything is improv. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sounds good.
Let's do it.
Bye.
Bye.